Hey, what's up guys? Rev here. So over the past 2 days, there has been an article circulating on Twitter that has been causing even more tribalism between Hololive and Vshojo fans. Now, the article includes an interview with Vshojo's Silvervale, and she makes many comments about her experience as a VTuber, but at one point she describes the differences between Hololive and Vshojo as agencies, and she made some comments that people interpreted as stating that Hololive VTubers are not allowed to be themselves or are not authentic as compared to Vshojo's members. Now, some people think this is the biggest deal ever, a damn near act of war between these groups, and some people have considered this article to be an overreaction and a whole lot of nothing. So, in accordance with that, I think the best thing to do is check out the relevant portion of the document, read it, go over it, and then we'll discuss some thoughts on what she said. So we're going to look at these 4 short paragraphs right here. The first one is from the author of the article stating, Vshojo has loftier goals than that though. Having just brought on Keisan and Nazuna in their Japan expansion, they want to flip the VTubing landscape on its head. While its idol culture roots might be great for the Japanese audience, it can also distance VTubers from Western fans who like authenticity. And authenticity was a term many people focused on social media, but the final 3 paragraphs here are from the interview with Silvervale, and in her words, she states, "We can show everyone that there can be an agency that's not like Hololive," she continued. "You can be yourself, and you can have a relationship, and you can talk about yourself and your parents. Just be yourself and not be tied down by all these expectations. You can just be yourself and do what you've always done, but have this huge support network and be able to grow and show the community that it's possible in the West to be a force of reckoning. We can show VTubers are here and that they can make awesome content. We're just normal streamers. We just have a professional backing, and I like that that's going to be normalized and we can just be ourselves." So, there's a lot to break down there, but some people have read these 4 paragraphs and treated it like a declaration of war from Vshojo to Hololive, which it absolutely is not. Some people have thought this might be the end of the collabs between the 2 groups. Again, no way that's happening. But if I was a member of Hololive and I heard these statements, would I like it? Probably not, because honestly, this whole thing is a jab at Hololive members. It paints the impression through her words that they are less allowed to be themselves, and in the words of the author and the way this whole article is panned, they're less authentic. Now, the obvious dichotomy here is that we're comparing Hololive, which has a lot of structure and rules and more management, with Vshojo, which has less rules, less management. Now, of course, the Hololive model has worked just fine. It's produced some really great VTubers, and through their rules, they've had a very good successful run. And part of this is no drama, no discussing your relationships on stream. And it's worked for them as a clean product free of drama and outside problems. And for Vshojo, their lack of rules has allowed people to be very creative and go off the walls and do whatever they want. But as we all know, the majority of the issues that have come to Vshojo are the result of lack of management and lack of rules. A great example is the Nuxtaku situation from about a year back. I mean, we had a situation where we had almost every single Vshojo member come forward, make a statement, throw people under the bus, have consequences for what they're saying, and at that point, they'd already gone public with everything without talking to management and not even talking between the talents, so nobody knew what they were actually talking about. They did not know the full story, which actually put people in harm's way. And that to me is a very good example of the consequences, and honestly, this article is the product of a lack of management, because if you had a competent manager looking at this article, there's no way you would put this out because it's causing controversy. You know it's going to cause controversy if you're mentioning Hololive and you're a member of Vshojo. But let's look through the article, and we're going to start with the idea of what makes someone able to be themselves. And really it boils down to this paragraph right here. And the thing about it is, it starts off with, You can be yourself, you can have a relationship. To begin with, you can have a relationship in Hololive. I mean, when we hear relationships with VTubers, Hololive, Vshojo, whatever, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the Rashia situation, but it's important to keep in mind, she was not fired because the possibility she was in a relationship. She was fired over NDA violations of her contract, okay? You are allowed to have a relationship, you're just not allowed to talk about it on stream. Same thing with politics. And honestly, it's something that a lot of people like. That is not just a Japanese thing, and it's a good product of idol culture if we're being honest. It's one of the reasons why VTubers have been so successful and Hololive has been so successful, is because the no politics, no relationship talk. People like that. They like engrossing themselves in a character. It's escapism. It's a pretty basic concept to follow. But relationship talk is really a problem not just for Hololive. I think it's a much deeper problem than just Hololive. I mean, I feel like Vshojo members wouldn't feel very comfortable talking about their relationships, not because of their agency or anything, but it's more of a community problem and how people react. Search around enough threads across various social media sites, you will find plenty of schizo threads trying to figure out any possible relationships certain VTubers from big agencies have. And that also includes independent VTubers as well. It's not exactly just a Hololive thing, it's a VTubing thing. It's a parasocial relationship thing. But then the interesting part was the mention of families, not being able to talk about their families, their parents. And I know to Silvervale, she has a very close relationship with her mother who makes many appearances on her streams. But the thing about Hololive and how they can't talk about their families is it's just not true. I mean, I can remember multiple streams, like Mori brought her mother on stream once. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Gargura had a phone call on stream. I remember watching a clip pretty recently of Marine talking about her relationship with her dad. And then people mentioned other examples like Kiara and Pecora doing the same thing, having their mothers on stream in one form or another. So that clearly is not true. And then we move on to the whole not tied down by expectations part. We're talking about rules and structure. And my thing is, we have to remind ourselves, Hololive members are not chained to their computer chair. We act like they're so restricted. I think a lot of the rules, and obviously I don't know the ins and outs, but from an outside perspective, it seems like their rules are pretty much foundational, what game they can stream, what games they can't stream, when they're going to stream, and how they're going to stream and where they're going to do it. But once they're inside of their stream, other than leaving out personal things like politics and their relationships, their romantic relationships, there's really not a whole lot of things chaining them down. They're pretty free to act however they want. Now, I'm going to end this next part here with a very nitpicky thing, but I think it's worth mentioning. The final paragraph here about we're just normal streamers, I think that's... Did anyone go into VTubing wanting to be a normal streamer? I think this statement, if we're taking it probably too seriously, it sounds like they've forgotten what the point of being a VTuber was in the first place. Having this ability to literally put on an avatar, be any character you want to be. If you want to watch quote-unquote normal streamers, those already exist. VTubing was supposed to be something else, and I think, as we've talked about with the idol culture and everything, idol culture is not inherently bad. When it goes too far, when it leads to harassment or people being fired at the drop of a needle because of these things, that's a problem. But in terms of other things, professional standards are not a problem. In fact, professional standards can be a very good thing. And I think it's one of the reasons Hololive has succeeded. And you know what? We're not discrediting Vshojo. Vshojo's had a lot of success. But if we're looking at this article, again, like I said earlier, this is the product of lack of rules and lack of management. This shouldn't have gone out like this. It was inviting confrontation. Now, do I think this is the biggest deal ever? Absolutely not. But it is shade, and it's not the first time there's been shade thrown at Hololive and their talents and how they work. I don't really understand the point of all this. Again, it's an article they're basically asking you, tell us about Vshojo, promote Vshojo, and the first response is, well, we're not Hololive. It's just, you know, and anytime someone is promoting themselves and they have to take down someone else in order to promote themselves, it kind of rubs people the wrong way. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for this video. Please let me know your thoughts about this situation in the comments section down below. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.